when she started learning about Islam, she was introduced to Sayyid Qutb. So the thing is during this time, which was like early 80s, there was a surge of political Islam. And it's all started with the Iranian regime. So the Islamic regime of Iran kind of kicked this off. It became the first Islamic, like bona fide, respected Islamic regime that wasn't like an ISIS or something, Because ever since World War I, when they lost the Ottoman Empire, these guys, Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamists, were trying to figure out how can we again get control of the West. We can't use swords, raping and pillaging like we did the first time. How can we get ourselves back into Greece and Spain? How can we do this? They really wanted to get into France. And so they came up with this plan. Now, one of the men that was coming up with this plan was Sayyid Qutb. What's important to know about Islamists is it's a pro-Islam, anti-West like this. Like you can't separate the two. It's pro-Islam, anti-West, every single aspect of it. My mom gravitated to the anti-West part. That's where that was the hook for her. And Sayyid Qutb's story of how he became an Islamist was very similar in that he was hanging out in America and there's all these loose American women everywhere, but none of them wanted to sleep with him. And so he was like offended and angry, felt rejected. And then he was just like, fuck the West, fuck Americans. And then it just became so anti-West. And a way to sort of feed that anti-Westness to people who were secular and moving in the direction of the West, like everybody was, like everywhere in the world, right? They're like admiring things that are made in Paris or made in America, right? How can you do that? It's by plugging it into, they're already indoctrinated with Islam. They're already have this belief in the religion. They're very tribal people. Arabs are extremely tribal. And so they connected this anti-West with the pro-Islam, and it just worked like a charm. Still works like a charm, continuing to work like a charm. Yeah. It just blew up. So whereas when my mom was growing up, like I said, you never saw hijab anywhere. You never saw people reading Quran or anything like that, or praying like that would be embarrassing, right? Now it's the opposite. Like all you see are hijabs and, beards. It's a completely different society. And it's so sad. Like in the 50s, or was it the 60s, there was this video from Parliament in Egypt where the Muslim Brotherhood was trying to convince the president that he needed to tell the women of Egypt to wear hijab. And the president started laughing at the notion of trying to put Egyptian women in hijab, and all the men in Parliament started laughing at like how ridiculous, as if Egyptian women would ever wear hijab, and then now look today what it's become. And the same story repeated in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, everywhere. It's repeated in Gaza, even everywhere. Just repeat, same story. Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, you name it, same story.
It's a good reminder of like how quickly things can change if you're not really careful.